Welcome to Ramadrishti, Semester 2. Today's Sutra, verse number 17, is like a test. You yourself will test yourself and see, have I reached here naturally? If I genuinely saw each of the 16 verses completed so far, then 17 is like a conclusion of what my direct seeing is. But if I did not see it, if I just fooled myself that, if I understand it intellectually, it's sufficient. If I did not see it directly, then 17 will be a hard punch for you. And it'll be an opportunity for you to decide if you should continue with Ramagita or you should take a break, go back to Advaita level 1, level 2, revise some, and then come back here. Yeah? So take it as a test today. I'll first read out the verse. I'll give you the literal translation of it, and then we will move into the Ramadrishti, direct seeing of the same. Verse 17. Yavad shariradishu mayaya atmadihi tavad viddeyo vidhivada karmanam netiti vakyair akhilam nishiddhya tad jnatva paramatmanam atha tyajet kriya. Until one is enchanted by the Maya, by illusion. Yeah. Until one is enchanted by the Maya, he identifies with this body. And he assumes that he performs actions. Here, according to Vidhi means according to the way it is prescribed in the Vedas. So there is a prescription how somebody who is in his brahmacharya from 1 to the age of 25 is brahmacharya, how he operates, how he walks, talks, behaves, what he should study, what he should not do. Everything was prescribed in the Vedas. Then somebody who's in Grahasthashram, who gets married between the ages of 25 and 50, how he should behave, how he should conduct himself in society, the way he should walk, talk, do things, and additionally, what he should do from the religious standpoint. All the pujas, worships, everything that was Dvaitam, dual, was described there. Why? Because you're considering yourself as the body. Yeah, so he says that till the time you are enchanted by Maya, you will perform all this, everything that is laid down by the Vedic rituals in the Brahmacharya ashram, the Grahasthashram. From 50 to 75 was Vanaprasthashram. There were certain prescribed duties. If by this time you're still enchanted by Maya and you have not realized the self, then you had additional religious actions to perform, more Vedic rituals, more kriyas, more of them. And then the last 25 years, assuming you had a lifespan of 100, from 75 to 100 was sannyas ashram. So life didn't teach you, that this is only enchantment. So now you have to turn away, give up the family, go away to the Himalayas or the jungle because you were not smart enough to learn while you were in Grahasthashram. So there were prescribed rituals. So he says, until one is enchanted by Maya, he identifies with this body. Sharira is the body. He must perform the actions according to the Vedic prescriptions. That's the first part of the verse. Second part of the verse is if at all, if he recognizes that by learning negation, I'm not this, not this, not this. Yeah? If by learning negation, he rises above the body identity and realizes the self, then he must give up all action. Kriya Tyajet means give up all action. Is he saying that you must give up action now when you think you are the body? Will you be able to give up action when you assume yourself to be the body-mind person? No. You will not be able to give up. You will still be stuck at this body-mind level. So this is the test for you. Has it started happening naturally? Yeah. You'll say, yeah, it happens when I don't like something that is happening. I don't want to take responsibility. No. Are you able to completely dissociate from the body in the most pleasant situation? In the most wonderful situation? This is the test. This is the test. So, you check, are you eligible to continue? Yeah. If you are still stuck with the body and still stuck with the world, then there is something lacking. That means the first 16 verses were just intellectual. Yeah. So that completes the literal translation of the verse. Now we'll go to the book. Ramadrishti, verse 70. So in 16 we did turn towards the self was the last thing. Have you really turned towards yourself? Or is there still loitering about outside, hoping that I'll get some joy here, I'll get some happiness there, I'll get some love there? Are you still lost in the external, or have you turned within? Yeah. The test of that is verse number 70. So direct seeing urges. On the arising of the illusion of I am the body, stay at a distance and witness. Do not jump in. Don't assume to be the doer. At the witnessing level, there is an absence of the triggers of craving and aversion. I'll stop there. Naturally, if you have stopped reacting to craving and aversion, you will not jump out. Do you see this? You will not jump towards the beautiful relationship or towards the ugly relationship. You will not jump out to the beautiful event, neither to the ugly event. There will not be a jumping out. There will be a natural stand at a distance. So, test number 1, I check. Has that started happening? Or do I still get triggered by some craving and some aversion? Yes. Now, this is one of the most difficult things to attain on the Ajatvad path. So even if it has started happening in a little bit, it's good. But remember, you can make this mistake that I don't jump in, and it is mostly because I am averse to it. No, then you're still at the body level and you're still reacting to an aversion and saying, oh, I'm not jumping in, I'm averse to it. You have fooled yourself. You have totally fooled yourself. Yeah, so this is another level altogether where you recognize an arising comes, it peaks. At this peak, it is tempting me the most. I can feel the magnetic pull towards it. It's literally like a current, a hypnotic current that is going on between me, the witness, and this arising. Whatever it is, I'm not pointing out what this arising is. It could be a relationship, an event, it could be an object. This arising has reached its peak. It has the maximum magnetic pull on me. If I crave for it, that is also a pull. If I'm averse to it, that is also a pull. Both are pulls, huh? Do you realize this? Yeah, so both are pulls. I must not give in to this. Then only I can say, yes, I stay at a distance and witness everything. That means I've learned to honor the karmic flow. This is a flow, no? The arising came up and it goes away. So this is the higher meaning, where I realize, no, I am not the doer. I am not the experiencer. I am not that body only. And this suddenly you will see happening in spurts here and there to begin with. For example, suppose you are just vacuuming. The vacuum is moving, the hand is moving, properly the carpet is getting vacuumed. For the longest time, there was no doership, no I am doing it, no I am tired, my body is working so hard, nothing. No story. It is just happening, just happening, just happening, just happening, just happening. And suddenly, as if the I enters the body, as if, please pay attention to the words, as if. And there is this thing, oh, I have to do all the work. I am so tired. Why do I have to take care of everything? See, I am doing so much. There, do you see that shift? That is the arising. That is the body arising. The body arising doesn't stop at the body arising. There will be a body arising, then there will be a thought about the body, then there will be doership linked exactly to that body arising, and then experiencership linked. Those who've done the retreat, you know the sequence. Asmita, Mamata, Karta, Bhokta. Yeah? I-ness, mindness, doership, experiencership. And you see these coming in automatically. And then you realize, no, for the past 15-20 minutes I've been vacuuming the carpet. There was no I, no mind, no doership, no experiencership. And suddenly this body arising brought with it everything. This is where I jumped in. Very clear? What happened in that earlier? You had finished half the room, more than half the room. Huge living area. You had finished more than half the room without I-ness. Means what? At that time it was simply the flow. When there is the flow, and there is honor for the flow, there is no jumping in at the trigger of craving, no jumping in at the trigger of aversion. The second paragraph is clear. Yeah, we'll move to the third. The flow itself is the spiritual discipline of selfless action in the absence of craving and aversion. It's a natural karmic flow that is coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. The parent says something, the child says something, the feeling arises, a thought arises. Everything is just happening. If you stay at a distance, you will notice, oh, it's just an automatic karmic flow. This body might be the parent or the child or the spouse, and it is automatically acting according to the script of the karmic flow. I have got nothing to do with it. When you are able to stay at that distance and recognize I have got nothing to do with it, then you have recognized the spiritual discipline of selfless action. The main question for you, the main test is, has this spiritual discipline happened automatically yet or not yet? Very clear what is the meaning of absence of craving and aversion? Now you have seen exactly what I described. Not necessarily while vacuuming, while doing something, some mundane activity, you see it immediately. Yeah. Anything, cooking, cleaning, gardening, whatever, grocery shopping, or simply walking. You walk for a long distance and there is no I there that is walking. And suddenly the I comes in. Oh, I have walked so far away. Oh, I am tired now. And everything. Extra stories, blah, 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 blah. Unnecessary stories, complete lies. You make an excuse to turn around and now go back home. Right? Because it's either aversion to walking so much or craving to do something else back at home. So it's very important for one to honor the karmic flow. The test is, have I learned to honor the karmic flow or not yet? Yeah. So this week we will test ourselves. We will see in mundane activities, have I learned to honor the karmic flow? Have I learned in interaction with the family member to honor the karmic flow? In office, while there is intense discussion going on a project, something very important is being discussed. Can I honor the karmic flow? Means what? It is happening automatically. It is happening automatically. Karmic flow is coming from where? Those who've attended the retreat. What is the other word we have learned for it? It's vichara. Yeah? Karmic flow, vichara. Means what? That which comes automatically sprouting out of a seed that was sown in the past, so-called past of the waker. Because the waker believes in the body, the waker believes in a past, in a present, and in a future. Because of this belief, there is karmic seeds that he has sowed. And they will definitely come out because he has projected them. Whenever you do something wrong, you have that little fear, I'll have to pay for this. Don't you? What is that? That is the seed. And you've already sowed the seed along with its future sprout of having to pay for it. Do you see this? Yeah, when you do something right, you have that lust that I will get appreciation for this. I will get a reward for this. Somebody will pat my back for this. So again, I have sowed the seed along with its sprout and tree, flowers, everything I have imagined. Yes, why? Because I consider myself as this body. This is the issue. This is the issue. That's why karma exists only till the time I assume to be the waker's body. Till the time I do that, I will never ever be able to respect the flow. Do you see this? Because I will take on doership. No, I am the doer. No, I am the experiencer. Yes. No, there is no doership, there is no experiencership. Whatever seeds are there, sown, now because I have already projected, they are going to come up. That is the karmic flow. I never know before it comes up. Do I ever know it? Yeah. Whether it is a thought in my mind, nothing happening here, a thought in my mind. Do I know before the thought is going to arise that this is going to arise? No. A feeling. Suddenly I have a feeling. I know the feeling after it has arisen. So I never see the beginning point of that arising. Yeah? Suppose this is the beginning point and the wave went up till here. Then I realize at this point that, oh, there is a nasty feeling. I missed this beginning point till here. Do you realize this? This is not only with thoughts, this is with feelings as well. This is with sensations in the body as well. Forget that you're singing your favorite song. You've already finished the first line. At the second line, you realize you're singing the song. Do you see this? You never know before something happens, which means it is automatically sprouting from the karmic flow. And if you never know it, how can you go ahead and claim it and say, see, I am doing this. See, I am experiencing this. This claim is wrong, correct? Do you see this by now? And do you see how many times you jump in and you claim and then, oh, no. Do you come back now? Yeah, that's good. That's fantastic. That means you're on the right track. But if you're lost, completely gone, then you're not honoring the karmic flow. You're not seeing it as a natural happening yet. Clear? So Karma Yoga is a natural happening, not a doing. I am not doing anything. For example, Ekta's script right now might be of speaking something. I don't even realize she is speaking. I am not there. I don't even claim the credit for a beautiful point that she says, or I don't even claim that this credit if she misses a beautiful point. It's got nothing to do with me. Are you there yet? Allowing the karmic flow to be whatever it needs to be. Means what? I respect anything that is pleasant. I respect anything that is unpleasant equally. Do you have equal vision yet? If the equal vision is missing, then you have not reached verse 17 in your direct seeing. We move on to the next paragraph. Know your true nature as the witnessing awareness space in which the arisings of doership and experiencership arise and dissolve. Abide in your nature of silence by renouncing the noise of action. So there are 2 points there. First point, am I able to see that I am this borderless, infinite awareness space? Am I there yet, or am I still standing behind the head of the waker? Where are you? Are you localized here? Just because while explaining, Ekta has to explain witness, and she's right-handed, so now my witness is standing on the right side behind the head. If Ekta was left-handed, then your witness would be standing on left side behind the head. No, then you've got it only intellectually. You don't see it yet. I hope it's not here or here. No, right? Do you see yourself as the witness awareness, the witnessing awareness field, infinite? Is this clarity there? Yeah. Now, if I recognize I am here, do I see suddenly the body arises and dissolves? What does it arise and dissolve in? In me. Am I able to see it like this? Do I maintain this stand, or I completely take the body stand when the body arises? This is the main test. This is how you should be evaluating yourself this week. Of course, at home, at work, in your social life, and also when you're by yourself, all alone, just driving alone or gone grocery shopping alone, whatever, gone for a walk alone. In all of them, are you able to see you are here and not here? Yeah? This is only an arising that comes up suddenly and disappears suddenly. It comes up suddenly, it disappears suddenly. Yeah? Then you know your true nature as the witnessing awareness space in which these arisings appear and disappear. Now, the second level is to abide in your nature of silence. Means what? To constantly hold on to this space. It is the now. Constantly be there and recognize that this space knows this. This infinite space knows this arising. Yeah? Then I am abiding in my nature of silence, and this arising of the body is nothing but noise of action. Yeah? So when I recognize, oh, I am at the periphery, and at the center there is some arising trying to attract me. It is only noise actually. My silence is so special. Yes, and this noise is trying to take me away from my silence. So when I'm at the periphery, I am abiding in my nature. When I have collapsed into the center, which is into the arising, I have become the noise of action myself. So, moment to moment, testing yourself. Am I here or am I here? Am I here or am I here? Now, of course, I have to check this both in pleasant situations and unpleasant situations. Yeah. It's easy to be here when everything is calm and quiet. Nothing pleasant happening, nothing unpleasant happening, just everything is just quiet. Very easy to be at the periphery. But the moment there is some excitement, oh, new car, new house, something, new excitement, new phone, not on the market, new phone, that excitement, that arising of experiencership, that makes me collapse back into the noise. Finish, all the silence is gone. Yeah, so that is an example of pleasant. An example of unpleasantness, somebody just says one little comment on how you are looking. Oh, the pink is not looking good on you today. That was sufficient for you to collapse from the periphery to the center. Do you see this? One little thing. From the silence, I collapse into the noise, and then I repeat the arising. Oh, I'm not looking good in pink. Oh, pink is not good. What has happened? Blah, 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 whatever. All this is craving or aversion. I have collapsed into that center where the arising was. Now, can I maintain my peripheral observation field stand all the time? Then only can I claim that yes, I see verse 17. Do you realize that it is actually a war between I-ness and the karmic flow? It's a war. Let's see who wins. That's what is going on. Yeah, in the first 20 minutes of the walk, there was no I. No, I am walking. No, I am experiencing. No, I am getting healthy or fit or I am unfit. All this talk was not there. Just the steps, the legs moving, moving. Some beautiful tree, some lovely flower, houses, some fields. Legs moving. Maybe you had some earphones on and some music was playing. Suddenly the music is there. Suddenly the tree is there. Suddenly again the legs are moving. This was the karmic flow. You were honoring it. You were at a distance, just knowing one arising after another, after another, after another, like those beautiful fireflies in the night sky. And just there, witnessing it. And suddenly, there is the war that has been announced, and I comes in. Now, I wants to be the doer or the experiencer. The I wants to say something. The I wants to feel important. That is where you have lost the witnessing. If immediately this knowledge comes up and immediately you're able to take the witnessing stand again, fantastic, great job. But if you get lost in craving and aversion, and then you try to change the karmic flow, now you have sowed seeds. It is going to sprout. Yeah. Therefore, the last part of that verse was to renounce kriya. Tyajit kriya means to renounce all action. Renounce everything. I am not the doer. I am not the doer. So you sit and analyze, are there things that come up or I feel I am doing still? Can I renounce these? I don't know. Only you will know where the doership comes up. And specifically in this shloka, he's talking about Vedic rituals for brahmacharya ashram, grahastha ashram, vanaprastha ashram, and sannyas ashram. If you are still stuck in worshipping an idol, it is your test. Are you strong enough today at your witness stand that you can give up your idol? It will reinforce that conviction in you that yes, I have dropped attachment to these rites and rituals. Renounce any attachments where you feel you are the doer or you are the experiencer, specifically related to all religious and spiritual activities that you have been performing. Then only have you reached the state where verse 17 you can say confidently is my direct seeing. Then only you know that you are Paramatma. You yourself are. You don't have to worship another Paramatma. It would be so egoistic to worship yourself, right? This realization comes up. Oh, all my life, all I've been doing, standing in front of the mirror and taking the little candle or diya around my own reflection. Oh, how egoistic is that? Can I just drop this? Can you drop it? That is the main test. Can you give up all action? Yeah. Can you do the Kriya Tyag? (17) is clear?